It starts as a sensation, not a thought, not a memory, a pressure. Low, persistent. The kind that settles somewhere behind the ribs and refuses to explain itself. There is a moment, small, almost unnoticeable, when her fingers stop moving. They hover above the fabric. Not trembling. Not steady. Just paused. No one comments on it. Nothing changes. And yet something has already shifted. She tells herself it's nothing. A misfired nerve. A flicker of exhaustion. The body inventing meaning where none exists. But the feeling stays. It lingers in the quiet spaces between movements. In the half second before she exhales. In the way her shoulders remain slightly raised, as if waiting for an instruction that never arrives. She has the strange awareness of having crossed a line she cannot see. Not by action. By attention. By noticing. By the simple, dangerous act of realizing that another presence in the room has begun to matter in a way that feels different. Not romantic. Not yet. Something narrower. More precise. Like standing too close to a flame and pretending you're only cold. She becomes aware of sound in fragments. The faint shift of fabric. A soft intake of breath that is not her own. The almost silent slide of a chair leg across the floor. Ordinary sounds. Except they don't feel ordinary anymore. They land differently. Deeper. She doesn't look. She already knows better than that. Because looking would make it real. And once something becomes real, it can no longer be unfelt. There is a boundary here. She can sense it. Thin. Unspoken. Perfectly intact. For now. But boundaries are not always broken. Sometimes they soften first. Sometimes they bend so slowly that no one notices the moment they stop being straight. She tells herself she is still in control. That she can step back. That she hasn't given anything away. Not a word. Not a gesture. Not even a glance. And yet, something inside her has already begun to listen differently. To wait differently. To exist differently. The room has not changed. The light is the same. The air is the same. But her place inside it is not. And she doesn't yet understand why. Only that whatever this is, it isn't leaving. It has found a place to settle. Quietly. Patiently. Like it has all the time in the world. The door does not close loudly. It never does. There is a muted sound, wood meeting frame, air shifting, the smallest sigh of displacement, and then the room returns to stillness. Ava remains where she is. Not frozen. Not exactly. Just suspended. Her hand is still resting against the edge of the desk. The surface is cool beneath her palm. Polished. Smooth in a way that feels deliberate. Nothing in this room looks accidental. Nothing feels improvised. Even the quiet feels designed. She becomes aware, belatedly, of her breathing. Too shallow. She corrects it. In. Slower. Out. The correction does not change much. The sense of being observed lingers, even though no one is visibly watching her. The awareness is internal, a pressure rather than a fact. As if something in the architecture of the space has turned its attention toward her. The windows stretch from floor to ceiling along the far wall. Beyond them, the city exists as a distant suggestion of light. No movement. No sound that reaches this height. She has never been this high up before. Not in a building like this. Not in a place that feels less like a residence, and more like a statement. Her eyes move without intention. The desk. The leather chair. The low table near the window with a single glass resting on it, untouched. Everything is arranged with restraint. Not minimal. Controlled. There is a difference. Minimal implies absence. This place is full. It simply refuses to advertise itself. Ava shifts her weight. The soft carpet absorbs the movement completely. Even the sound of her shoes seems unwilling to announce her presence. That unsettles her more than silence would have. She has worked in large houses before. This is not her first job in a wealthy home. But those places had warmth, or at least the performance of it. Family photographs. Messy surfaces. Corners that felt lived in. Here, nothing looks lived in. It looks maintained. As if human presence is permitted, but only under certain conditions. She tells herself she is overthinking. It is her first day. New spaces always feel strange. New employers always feel larger than life for the first few hours. This will normalize. It has to. Still, she does not sit. No one told her to. No one told her not to. The uncertainty feels intentional, though she cannot say why. Her gaze drifts back to the glass on the table. The liquid inside catches a thread of light from the city beyond the windows. Dark. Amber. Thick. It smells faintly of something warm and bitter. She realizes with a small jolt that she can smell it from where she stands. The scent is subtle, but present. She shifts again. The carpet yields. The room does not. She becomes aware of a second sound. Not footsteps. Not yet. Something quieter. Fabric moving. The softest disturbance of air behind her. Eva does not turn. Not because she has been instructed not to. Not because she is afraid. She simply doesn't. Her body chooses stillness before her mind can argue. The awareness returns. Not of being watched. Of being considered. There is a difference. Being watched feels passive. Being considered feels active. Like something is being weighed. Measured. Decided. Eva swallows. Her throat feels dry. She tells herself to breathe again. In. Out. Her fingers curl slightly against the edge of the desk. Not gripping. Not relaxed. Somewhere in between. A voice speaks. Low. Even. Unhurried. You can sit if you'd like. No name. No greeting. No preamble. Just permission. Eva turns then. Slowly. She does not know what she expected. Not in detail. But she feels vaguely that whatever she is seeing does not match the image her mind had been assembling in the seconds before. The woman stands several feet away. Not behind the desk. Not near the door. Off to the side. As if she had been there for a while. As if Ava's entrance had not required repositioning. Her posture is relaxed. Not casual. There is intention in the way she stands, in the way her weight is distributed, in the way her arms rest at her sides, without appearing either open or closed. She is dressed simply. Dark fabric. Thin lines. Nothing that calls attention to itself. And yet Ava's attention locks anyway. Not because of beauty in the conventional sense. Not because of any single striking feature. But because of cohesion. Everything about her seems aligned. Like a finished thought. Her eyes meet Ava's. They do not scan. They do not flicker. They remain. The effect is immediate and disorienting. Not invasive. Not aggressive. Just thorough. Ava has the strange, irrational sensation that something about her has already been noticed. Not her face. Not her body. Something less visible. She feels the impulse to explain herself. She has no idea what she would explain. The silence stretches. It does not feel empty. It feels occupied. Ava realizes faintly that she has not sat. She moves toward the chair. The leather is cool when she lowers herself into it. The chair does not creak. Nothing in this room seems capable of accidental sound. The woman does not sit. She remains standing. This feels significant. Ava does not know why. The woman speaks again. You're Ava. It is not a question. Yes, Ava says. Her voice sounds quieter than she intended. Not weak. Just smaller in the space. A nod. Minimal. Thoughtful. Acknowledgement, not approval. You were recommended. Another statement. Yes. Pause. The woman tilts her head slightly. The movement is subtle. Evaluative. Ava becomes acutely aware of her posture. Of her hands resting in her lap. Of the faint crease in her shirt from the way it had been folded in her bag. None of these details mattered this morning. They matter now. What do you think so far? The question is gentle. Almost casual. It should be easy. Ava opens her mouth. Closes it. Not because she lacks words. Because too many present themselves at once. Large. Quiet. Different. Intimidating. Beautiful. Cold. None of those feel appropriate. It's impressive. She settles on. The woman's mouth curves. Not quite a smile. Something close. Most people say that. Ava is not sure whether this is an observation or a dismissal. She cannot tell. Another silence. The woman steps closer. Not abruptly. Not dramatically. One step. Then another. The distance shortens. Not enough to invade. Enough to register. Ava becomes aware of scent. Not perfume. Something cleaner. Cooler. With a faint undercurrent of warmth beneath it. The same warmth she had smelled in the glass. Her attention dips, unbidden, to the woman's hands. Long fingers. No visible jewelry. The nails are short. Practical. The woman notices. Ava realizes this the moment it happens. Not because the woman reacts, but because the awareness feels mutual. Ava looks back up quickly. The woman's gaze is unreadable. Not blank. Not expressive. Held. Your responsibilities will be explained by the house manager, the woman says. But ultimately you'll answer to me. The word lands differently than it should. Answer. Not report. Not check in. Answer. Ava nods. Yes, ma'am. The woman's brow lifts. Just slightly. Evelyn, she says. No title. No surname. Just the name. Ava repeats it. Evelyn. Saying it feels more intimate than she expects. Like stepping 1 inch closer to something without meaning to. Another pause. Evelyn studies her. Not in a way that feels like appraisal of competence. Not entirely. It feels broader. As if Ava's usefulness is only one of several categories being considered. Ava becomes aware of heat at the base of her neck. She cannot remember the last time someone looked at her like this. Not openly. Not without trying to disguise it as something else. I don't tolerate dishonesty, Evelyn says. The tone is not threatening. It does not need to be. I don't tolerate carelessness. Ava nods again. I understand. Evelyn's gaze does not waver. Do you? Ava hesitates. Not long, but long enough to feel exposed. Yes, she says. Evelyn looks at her for another moment. Then, unexpectedly, she turns away. Just like that. The intensity dissipates without warning. The absence of it feels almost worse. Evelyn moves toward the window. She picks up the glass. Not to drink. She holds it loosely. Looks out at the city. Ava is left staring at the back of her. At the line of her shoulders. At the way she occupies space without effort. No one tells Ava what to do. No one dismisses her. No one instructs her to follow. So she stays. Sitting. Waiting. Her pulse feels louder than it should. Evelyn speaks again, still facing the window. You're younger than I expected. Ava does not know how to respond to that. I'm 22, she says finally. Evelyn hums softly. Not agreement. Not disapproval. Just acknowledgement. You live nearby? No. Another pause. I relocated for the position. Evelyn turns slightly. Not fully. Enough that Ava can see her profile. And that didn't concern you. It is not a question. Ava thinks about the empty apartment she left behind. About the boxes still unpacked. About the sense, vague but persistent, that staying where she was had begun to feel impossible. I needed a change, she says. Evelyn watches her. Most people do. The words feel heavier than they should. Evelyn finally takes a sip from the glass. Small. Controlled. Ava notices the movement. The way Evelyn's throat shifts. She hates herself a little for noticing. Evelyn sets the glass back down. You can go now, she says. No preamble. No dismissal gesture. Just the sentence. Ava blinks. Oh, yes. She stands. The leather chair releases her without sound. For a moment, neither of them moves. Not quite a standoff. Not quite a goodbye. Ava feels as though she is supposed to say something. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Something normal. Nothing comes. Evelyn looks at her. Not with the earlier intensity. Something quieter. More inward. Ava turns toward the door. Her hand closes around the handle. Cool metal. Before she opens it, Evelyn speaks. Close the door softly. Ava pauses. Yes. She opens the door. Steps through. And closes it softly. The sound is barely there. but Ava feels it echo anyway. She stands in the hallway. The corridor is long, carpeted, empty. She does not move immediately. Her hand is still on the handle. She becomes aware, slowly, of a realization forming. Not dramatic, not sharp. A quiet internal shift. She did not feel like she had just met her employer. She felt like she had just entered into something. She does not know what. Only that it feels deliberate. And that some part of her, inconvenient and alive, is already paying attention in a way she does not fully trust. Ava releases the handle. She starts walking. Her footsteps make no sound. Morning arrives without sound. Not because the city is quiet, but because this part of it seems insulated from urgency. The elevator glides up as if it doesn't believe in gravity. The hallway on Evelyn's floor holds its breath the way the office had. Even the air feels measured, cool, clean, faintly scented with something that never quite becomes perfume. Ava stands outside the service door with her bag held close to her body, fingers curled around the strap. She checks the time once, then forces herself to stop. Checking again won't change anything. It will only prove she's thinking too hard. She exhales and reaches for the handle. Cool metal. Smooth. Unwarmed by use. Inside, the lights are already on in the staff corridor. The house manager, Marla, moves through the space like someone who has learned exactly how much noise is acceptable here. Her shoes barely register on the floor. "You're early," Marla says, not looking up from the clipboard in her hand. Ava's instinct is to apologize. She doesn't. Not yet. "I didn't want to be late." Marla finally looks at her, eyes sharp but not unkind. "Being early is fine. Being in the wrong place is not. That's what matters." Ava nods. "Okay?" Marla flips a page on the clipboard. The paper makes a soft sound, too loud in the narrow corridor. Marla pauses as if even that tiny noise has to be acknowledged, then continues. "You'll be assigned to the main floor and private wing. Laundry is handled off-site. Kitchen staff rotates. Your focus is upkeep, quiet resets, and personal requests." "Personal requests," Ava repeats, careful to keep her tone neutral. Marla's mouth presses into a line that isn't quite a smile. "If Evelyn asks for something, you do it. If it's unclear, you ask me. If it feels unusual, you still do it, unless it's unsafe." Ava swallows. "Has anything ever been unsafe?" Marla's eyes flick to her face. "Not physically." The words land like a small weight. Marla continues, brisk again. "Rules. No guests. No photos. No posting. No speaking about her life to anyone. No wandering into rooms you weren't assigned. And," she hesitates, just briefly, then adds, "don't assume silence means permission." Ava nods again, but her body has already registered the rule as something else. Don't assume silence means permission. It feels like a warning and a philosophy at the same time. Marla hands her a slim tablet. "Checklist for daily resets. You'll learn the rhythm. The key is consistency." Ava accepts it. The screen is cold under her thumb. She tries to focus on the practical. Consistency. Rhythm. Tasks. Anything that keeps her from thinking about the office. The way Evelyn had said her name like it was already familiar. Marla leads her through the main floor. The living room is vast, but not welcoming. It's curated in the same restrained way the office was. Soft textures, deep neutrals, surfaces so clean they feel untouched. There are no family photos. No personal clutter. A single vase holds flowers that look expensive and intentional, as if they were arranged to imply life without allowing it. Ava notes the details the way she always does when learning a new home. Where dust collects, where fingerprints appear, where people unconsciously touch. But here, there are fewer clues, fewer signs of habit. It's like cleaning a museum. She follows the checklist. Wipe the marble counter in the bar area. Reset the throw blankets to a precise fold. Replace the glassware so each rim faces the same direction. Her movements become quieter as the morning goes on. Not because someone told her to be quiet, because the space trains her. Every sound feels like a disruption. She begins to move like she belongs in a place that doesn't want her. At mid-morning, Marla disappears to handle deliveries. The other staff move in and out with practiced invisibility. Ava is left in the main living room alone, adjusting a row of books that look unread. She reaches for one out of curiosity, stops. Don't assume silence means permission. Her hand hovers, then withdraws. She turns away as if she never considered touching it. A faint sound comes from the hall that leads toward the private wing. Not footsteps. Something softer. A shift in air. Ava stills without meaning to. She isn't supposed to be here right now, she thinks. Or maybe she is. The checklist says, main floor resets, and she is doing them. The private wing is not part of her tasks, yet. She tells herself to ignore it. To keep folding blankets. To keep wiping surfaces. Stay inside the safe world of chores. But her attention has already turned, like a compass needle pulled by a magnet. She pretends to straighten a decorative tray while her eyes drift toward the hall. Evelyn appears without announcing herself. No one opens a door. No one calls her name. She is simply there, stepping into the edge of the room as if she has been part of it all along. Ava's first, stupid thought is that Evelyn looks different in daylight. Not softer. Just more real. The dark clothing is still simple, still controlled. Her hair is pulled back in a way that makes no statement. She wears no jewelry. Nothing about her should feel extravagant. And yet the room changes when she enters it. Ava becomes aware of her own hands, damp from the cloth she was using. She sets the cloth down too quickly and regrets the speed. She turns, wiping her palms on her apron, as if she can erase the evidence that she exists. "Good morning," Ava says. It comes out quiet, careful. Evelyn looks at her the way she did yesterday, steady, thorough. But the intensity is gentler now. Less like appraisal. More like recognition. "Is it?" Evelyn asks. Ava blinks. "Yes, I think so." Evelyn's mouth curves slightly. Not quite a smile, but close enough to change Ava's breathing. "You're early again." Ava nods. "I like being early, do you?" Evelyn murmurs, and the words feel like they're about something else. Ava tries to hold on to something practical. "Marla gave me the checklist. I'm finishing the main floor resets." Evelyn's gaze moves. Briefly, to the perfectly folded blanket, the aligned books, the spotless marble. She takes it in without comment. Then her eyes return to Ava. "You're very thorough," she says. Ava feels heat creep up her neck. Praise should feel good. This does not feel like praise. It feels like being seen. "Thank you." Evelyn steps closer, just one step, then another. She doesn't invade. She doesn't crowd. She simply reduces the distance in a way that makes Ava acutely aware there was distance at all. Ava keeps her posture still. Shoulders back. Hands clasped lightly in front of her. She tries to look calm. She isn't sure she succeeds. Evelyn's voice lowers. Marla tends to overwhelm new hires with rules. Alva's eyes flicker. "She was very clear. And did you understand them?" Ava hesitates. "Yes would be too easy. No would be stupid." "I think so," she says. Evelyn watches her. Thinking is not the same as knowing. Ava swallows. "Then I'll learn." Evelyn's eyes hold hers. "You will?" The certainty in her tone sends a small shock through Ava's body. Not fear. Not excitement. Something in between. Something that feels like being placed gently into a shape you didn't realize you could fit into. Ava forces herself to breathe. In. Out. Evelyn's gaze drops, briefly, to Ava's hands. Ava becomes aware of her own fingers. The faint redness from cleaning solution. The small nick near her thumb. She hadn't noticed it before. Now she feels it like a pulse. Evelyn looks back up. "I don't like strong scents," she says. Alva's brain scrambles. "Strong scents? Cleaning products," Evelyn clarifies, calm. "Perfume. Anything that announces itself." Ava nods quickly. "Oh, of course. I can switch to unscented." "I didn't. Marla didn't." Evelyn lifts a hand slightly, a small gesture that stops Ava mid-sentence. Not harsh. Just precise. Ava falls quiet immediately, as if her voice has been turned down. Evelyn lowers her hand again. "You don't need to justify yourself. You only need to adjust." Alva's lips part, then close. "Yes," she says softly. Evelyn's eyes narrow just a fraction. Not suspicion. Focus. "Don't say yes so quickly," Evelyn says. Ava's stomach tightens. "I'm sorry." Evelyn's gaze doesn't soften. That wasn't a reprimand. Ava tries to recalibrate. Then, what was it? Evelyn pauses. The pause does not advance anything. It doesn't need to. It fills the room with something unnamed. Ava feels herself waiting, listening, holding her breath as if a sound might break the moment. Evelyn's voice is quieter when it comes. It was advice. Advice. The word should feel kind. It doesn't. It feels intimate. Like something offered privately, not professionally. Ava nods once. Slower this time. "I'll try," she says, and the hesitation in her voice feels like a small rebellion. Evelyn's mouth curves again, that almost smile. "Good," she says, and it feels like approval even though she didn't call it that. Ava's heart beats a little harder. She hates that Evelyn can do that with a single word. Evelyn turns her head slightly, as if listening to something beyond the room. Then she looks back to Ava. "I'm leaving in an hour," Evelyn says. "There's a code I want ready." Ava nods, again too quickly, and catches herself mid-motion. She slows. "Yes," she says, careful. "Which code?" Evelyn's gaze holds her for a beat longer than necessary. "The black one," she says. "In the closet." Ava's mind jumps. "Private wing. Closet. Permission." Evelyn continues, as if reading the hesitation. "Marla has the code." Ava exhales, relieved and embarrassed at the same time. "Okay." Evelyn begins to turn away. Ava watches her, unable to stop herself. The way Evelyn moves is unhurried, but not lazy. It's as if time accommodates her rather than the other way around. Evelyn pauses near the edge of the room. Without turning, she speaks again. "Ava." Ava's breath catches. "Yes." Evelyn's voice is neutral. "When you finish, come to the office." Ava's stomach tightens again. "Yes," she says, and then stops herself, forcing the word to feel considered. "Yes," she repeats softer. "Different." Evelyn leaves. Not dramatically. Not with finality. Just gone. The room returns to stillness. Ava stands where she is for a moment too long, her hands clasped in front of her as if she is holding herself together. She tells herself to move. To do the code. To follow instructions. But her body remains paused, caught in a loop of sensation. Advice. Don't say yes so quickly. Come to the office. That returns quiet and persistent, as if it has been waiting for her. Something has already shifted. Ava forces herself to move. She finds Marla in the staff corridor and asks for the code. Marla raises an eyebrow, but hands it over without comment. Ava memorizes it instantly, then repeats it silently in her head until it feels welded into her memory. The private wing door is heavier than the others. The keypad lights up under her fingers. She enters the code. A soft click. The door opens. The corridor beyond is carpeted, dimmer, quieter. The air feels cooler here, almost as if temperature is another boundary. Ava steps inside and closes the door behind her. Softly. She stands for a moment, letting her eyes adjust. She feels like she is trespassing even with permission. That feeling is not entirely unpleasant. The closet is at the end of the hallway. Another door. Another quiet handle. Inside, the space is immaculate. Clothes are arranged by color and texture. Shoes lined in perfect rows. Coats hung with identical spacing. Everything smells faintly of clean fabric and something deeper underneath. Warm. Bitter. Almost like the amber drink from yesterday. Ava's fingers hover near the black coat. The fabric looks expensive. Heavy. Soft. She touches it lightly. Velvet. Or something close. The texture is almost shocking. Smooth but with resistance, like it remembers the shape of whatever last wore it. Ava withdraws her hand quickly, as if touch itself might leave evidence. She lifts the coat carefully, draping it over her arm the way she was trained. She checks it for lint. For imperfections. For anything that would imply carelessness. Nothing. Of course. She turns to leave, and her gaze catches on a drawer, left slightly ajar beneath the hanging clothes. It's barely open. Half an inch. The surface of the drawer is matte black, the handle minimal. Ava's body stills. Don't assume silence means permission. Her mind repeats the rule like a prayer. She's not supposed to open drawers. She's here for a coat. Only a coat. and yet her attention fixes on the gap as if it contains a secret. The feeling is not curiosity in a casual way. It's something narrower, more precise, like standing near a closed door and knowing someone is on the other side. Ava takes one step closer. She stops. She does not open it, but she leans forward slightly, as if she can smell what's inside. A faint scent of paper, and something metallic, cold. She pulls back, heart beating faster, and forces herself to leave the closet. The coat sits heavy over her arm as she walks back down the corridor. The keypad glows again when she exits. The door seals behind her with another soft click. Ava exhales slowly, as if she has been holding her breath the entire time. She returns to the main floor, places the coat where it should be, and finishes the last of the resets with hands that feel slightly unsteady. An hour passes. Then another. The house remains quiet, but it is not empty. It is full of controlled motion. Stuff appearing and disappearing, objects being moved and returned to place. The constant maintenance of an atmosphere. At last, Marla nods toward the hallway. She's in her office. Ava's mouth goes dry. She walks there anyway. The same corridor. The same door. The same handle. Cool metal. She knocks once. A pause. "Come in," Evelyn's voice says. Ava steps inside and closes the door softly behind her. Evelyn is at the desk, this time seated. The leather chair holds her without sound. A tablet rests in front of her, screen dark. A glass sits on the table, by the window again, untouched. The city beyond the glass is brighter now, daylight making everything look sharp and distant. Evelyn looks up. Her gaze lands on Ava and stays there. Ava stands in the same place she stood yesterday, near the desk, hands clasped in front of her. She does not sit. She waits. Evelyn's eyes move over her, not in a way that feels hungry, not in a way that feels crude. In a way that feels exact, as if she is noting details Ava didn't know she was giving away. "You changed the product," Evelyn says. It's not a question. Ava blinks. "Yes, I used the unscented option Marla showed me." Evelyn's gaze holds her. "Good." The word lands softly. Approval. Again. Ava's throat tightens. "Is there anything else you need?" Evelyn's eyes remain steady. "Do you want there to be?" Ava freezes. Not externally. Inside. Her mind scrambles to interpret. To find the safe meaning. To anchor the question in professionalism. But the question doesn't feel professional. It feels like a hand placed lightly on the edge of something forbidden. Ava's voice comes out quieter than she intends. I want to do my job well." Evelyn studies her for a long moment. Then she leans back slightly in her chair. The movement is small, but it changes the room. It loosens something. Or tightens it. Ava can't tell which. Evelyn's gaze softens, not into warmth, but into something less sharp. "Your job," Evelyn says slowly, "is not to anticipate me." Ava's heart beats once, hard. "It's to respond," Evelyn continues. "Precisely." Ava swallows. "Okay." Evelyn's eyes narrow just slightly. "Say it again." Ava's lips part. "No. Not that. Not exactly." She steadies herself. "Yes," she says, slower. "I understand." Evelyn watches her. For a moment, the narrative does not advance. No instructions. No new task. No movement forward. Just the feeling of being held in place by attention. Ava becomes aware of her own pulse in her fingertips. Of the faint dampness of her palms. Of the way the air feels cooler near the window. Evelyn's gaze shifts, briefly, to Ava's hands. Then back up. Ava feels with startling clarity that the office is not just a room. It's a boundary. And she is standing on the line of it. Evelyn speaks again, quieter. "You're learning." Ava nods once. Evelyn's mouth curves in that almost smile. "Good," she repeats. Ava's chest tightens. The word hits her the way it did before, like being placed into a shape. Evelyn's gaze drifts toward the glass by the window. Then back. "Tell me something," Evelyn says. Ava's stomach drops. "What?" Evelyn's eyes do not move. "When you're in a room like this, do you feel the urge to fill the silence?" Ava's mind goes blank for half a second. Then too full. She thinks of how she's been moving quieter. How she's been speaking less. How she's been holding her breath in the hallway. She starts. She stops. She tries again. Sometimes. Evelyn nods as if that confirms something. And do you resent it? Evelyn asks. When someone doesn't let you. Alva's fingers tighten together. This feels like a question that is not about silence. Not really. No, Ava says. Then she catches herself. The word was too quick. She corrects softly. I don't think I resent it. Evelyn watches her for a long moment. Then she stands. The movement is unhurried, controlled. She steps around the desk, closing some distance, not all of it. The room tightens. Ava remains still. Evelyn stops a few feet away, close enough that Ava can smell her again, cool, clean, with that faint, warm bitterness underneath. Evelyn looks at her. And for the first time, Ava feels something like the edge of danger. Not physical. Boundary weakening. Evelyn's voice is low. If you ever feel uncertain here. Alva's breath catches. Evelyn pauses, as if choosing the next words with care. Ask, she finishes. Ava nods. Okay. Evelyn's gaze holds her. The silence stretches again. It does not advance anything. It deepens everything. Ava's thoughts circle the same shape. Something has already shifted. Evelyn turns away slightly, as if ending the moment without closing it. You can go, she says. Ava stays for a fraction of a second too long. Then she moves. Toward the door. Toward safety. Toward the staff corridor where rules are written down and tasks are clear. Her hand finds the handle. Cool metal. She opens the door and steps out. But as she closes it softly behind her, she realizes her chest feels tight. Not with relief. With a strange, quiet disappointment of leaving something unfinished. She stands in the hallway again, suspended between movement and stillness, and she cannot tell whether she has been dismissed or invited to return. Ava notices the change in herself before she notices anything else. Not as a realization. Not as a thought. As a shift in rhythm. She stops checking the time. Not because she has learned the schedule. Not because she suddenly feels at home. But because her body has begun to move according to something other than clocks. She wakes before her alarm. She arrives before she means to. She moves through the house, as if the house has started moving through her. It is subtle. Quiet. Almost reasonable. Which makes it more dangerous. Morning light filters through the tall windows in pale, diluted sheets. The city looks distant from this height, reduced to geometry and muted motion. Ava stands at the bar, polishing a glass that is already clean. She realizes this halfway through the motion. She keeps polishing anyway. The cloth moves in slow circles. Smooth. Repetitive. Almost meditative. She is not thinking about anything in particular, which is untrue. She is thinking about Evelyn. Not in images. Not in fantasies. In fragments. The sound of her voice. The way she says Ava's name like it is a completed thought. The pause before she speaks, as if deciding whether something deserves to exist. Ava tightens her grip on the cloth. She tells herself this is normal. When you work closely with someone, you become aware of them. That's all. She is not special. This is not personal. Except, she has started to notice patterns. Evelyn never enters a room the same way twice. Sometimes she appears without warning. Sometimes Ava hears her first. The faint shift of fabric. The softest disturbance of air. Sometimes Evelyn speaks immediately. Sometimes she waits. Ava has begun to sense which version is coming before it happens. She cannot explain how. Her body simply knows. It is late morning when it happens again. Ava is kneeling near the low table by the window, aligning the coasters into a perfect square. She feels it first. That pressure behind her ribs. Low. Persistent. She does not turn. She finishes aligning the last coaster. Then she straightens slowly. Evelyn stands near the doorway. Not watching. Considering. Ava rises to her feet. She does not speak. Neither does Evelyn. The silence feels different today. Thicker. Not heavy. Dense. Like air before rain. Ava waits. Evelyn steps closer. One step. Then another. The distance reduces. Ava becomes aware of her own breathing. She tries to slow it. In. Out. Evelyn stops a few feet away. You adjusted the temperature, Evelyn says. Ava blinks. Yes. It felt a little cool this morning. Evelyn tilts her head slightly. You remembered. It is not a compliment. It is not neutral. It is a placement. Ava's fingers curl loosely at her sides. I try to pay attention. Evelyn's gaze holds her. That's becoming apparent. The words land quietly. They stay. Ava does not know what to do with them. She does nothing. Evelyn looks around the room. Everything is immaculate. Nothing calls for correction. Her attention returns to Ava. Walk with me. The sentence is simple. Not a question. Ava's pulse spikes. Yes, she says, then stops herself. She breathes. Yes, she repeats, slower. Evelyn turns. Ava follows. They move through the hallway together, not side by side. Evelyn is slightly ahead. Not enough to leave Ava behind. Enough to establish shape. Their footsteps make almost no sound. The house absorbs them. They pass the door to the private wing. Evelyn does not enter it. She continues toward the library. Ava has not been in the library before. The door opens into a space that feels different from the rest of the house. Still controlled. Still precise. But warmer. Dark wood. Low shelves. Soft lighting that does not try to impress. There is a large chair near the window. Another across from it. A low table between them. Ava registers the arrangement before she registers the implication. Evelyn steps inside. She does not gesture for Ava to enter. She simply enters. Ava follows. Evelyn moves to the chair near the window. She sits. Not hurried. Not tentative. She settles as if the chair has been waiting for her. Ava remains standing. No one tells her to sit. The pattern is familiar now. Evelyn looks at her. Sit, she says. Not unkind. Not sharp. Precise. Ava sits in the opposite chair. The fabric is soft. The seat yields slightly under her weight. She becomes acutely aware of the space between them. Not large. Not small. Measured. Evelyn studies her. Not openly. Not covertly. As if Ava is something that exists to be noticed. You're adapting quickly? Evelyn says. Ava nods once. I want to do well. Evelyn's mouth curves faintly. You've said that before. Ava feels heat rise in her chest. I still mean it, I know. The certainty in Evelyn's tone unsettles her. Evelyn leans back slightly. The movement shifts the dynamic. Ava feels it without understanding it. How long do you usually stay in one place? Evelyn asks. The question feels casual. It isn't. I'm not sure. A year. Sometimes less. Why? Ava hesitates. She could give a simple answer. Better opportunities. Restlessness. Normal things. Instead, she hears herself say, I get uncomfortable. Evelyn's gaze sharpens. With what? Ava swallows. Feeling. Settled. Evelyn studies her. Settled feels like what to you? Ava searches for language. Like, if I stay, something will close. Evelyn does not interrupt. Ava continues, because the silence invites it. Like I'll become the version of myself that's easiest. Evelyn's eyes do not leave her face. And is that unacceptable? Yes, Ava says too quickly. She exhales. I think so. Evelyn considers this. Not judgment. Calculation. You don't strike me as someone who avoids difficulty, Evelyn says. Ava lets out a small, humorless breath. I avoid staying long enough to find out if I can handle it. Evelyn's gaze softens. Not into warmth. Into focus. That's different. Ava's fingers twist together in her lap. How? Evelyn pauses. The pause does not advance anything. It deepens the moment. Avoidance implies fear, Evelyn says. Your pattern suggests anticipation. Ava frowns slightly. Anticipation of what? Evelyn's eyes hold hers. Of being shaped. The word lands like a small, precise strike. Ava's breath catches. I don't like being controlled, she says. Evelyn does not react. Most people don't, Evelyn says. Ava's pulse picks up. The air between them feels charged but not explosive. Contained. "You're here anyway," Evelyn adds. Ava does not answer. She does not know how. Evelyn leans forward slightly. Not enough to close the space. Enough to change it. "Tell me," Evelyn says, voice low. "Do you need to feel in control?" Ava opens her mouth. Closes it. "No, not exactly." Evelyn waits. "I need to feel like I chose," Ava says. Evelyn's eyes narrow just a fraction. Interesting distinction. Ava swallows. The room feels smaller. Not physically. Psychologically. Evelyn shifts her gaze briefly to the window, then back. "Choice," Evelyn says, is often confused with absence of influence. Ava's heart beats harder. "What's the difference?" Evelyn's mouth curves. Acknowledgement. Ava doesn't know what to say. Evelyn continues. "If you know something is influencing you and you move anyway, that's still choice." Ava's fingers tighten in her lap. "And if you don't know?" Evelyn's gaze holds her. "Then you're simply being moved." The silence that follows is thick. Ava feels as if she has been gently placed into a box she didn't know existed. She doesn't like it. She doesn't entirely dislike it either. Evelyn watches her process. Not intrusively. Patiently. "Do you feel influenced here?" Evelyn asks. Ava's mind races. Every instinct says to deflect. To joke. To say no. Instead, she hears herself say, "I don't know yet." Evelyn nods. That's an honest answer. Ava exhales. Evelyn stands. The movement is unhurried. She does not offer a hand. She does not explain. She simply stands. Ava remains seated for a beat longer than necessary. Then she stands too. They face each other. The distance between them feels different than it did earlier. Not smaller. More charged. Evelyn's gaze drops briefly to Ava's mouth. Not linger. Just enough. Ava notices. Her breath stutters. Evelyn looks back up. "You can return to your tasks," Evelyn says. Ava nods. "Yes." She stops herself. "Yes," she repeats slower. Evelyn's mouth curves faintly. Approval. Again. Ava turns to leave. She reaches the door. Her hand closes around the handle. Cool metal. Behind her, Evelyn speaks. "Ava." Ava's breath catches. She turns. "Yes?" Evelyn studies her. "You don't need to decide anything yet." Ava's stomach tightens. "Decide? What?" Evelyn's gaze holds hers. "Exactly." The word lands softly. Dangerously. Evelyn looks away first. Ava opens the door. Steps out. Closes it softly. The hallway feels narrower than before. Ava stands there, heart beating too fast, mind circling one quiet, persistent realization. She is not being pulled. She is being positioned. And some part of her is beginning to lean into the shape. The first thing Ava notices is that she is no longer counting the days. Not consciously. There is no moment where she decides to stop. The habit simply dissolves. Time becomes something else. Not irrelevant. Not absent. Just secondary. Her awareness organizes itself around different markers now. The way light falls across the marble in the early morning. The exact pitch of the house when Evelyn is present versus when she is not. The subtle changes in temperature that precede Evelyn entering a room, as if the space itself anticipates her. These are the things Ava measures. Not hours. Not dates. It unsettles her a little. She doesn't address it. She has learned that addressing things too directly tends to make them louder. So she lets the shift exist. The house has developed a rhythm. Or perhaps Ava has. Morning resets. Midday, quiet. Afternoon maintenance. Evenings where Evelyn sometimes disappears entirely, and sometimes moves through the main floor with a glass in hand, saying nothing, existing like a controlled disturbance in the air. Ava never asks where she goes. Evelyn never explains. They orbit. Not closely. Not distantly. At a distance that feels intentional. It is late afternoon when Ava first realizes she can predict Evelyn's presence with startling accuracy. She is in the kitchen, aligning plates in a cabinet that no one else uses. The task is unnecessary. The plates are already perfect. She keeps doing it anyway. Her body slows. The pressure behind her ribs returns. Low. Persistent. She closes the cabinet. She does not turn. She waits. 3 seconds pass. Then, fabric shifting. Ava turns. Evelyn stands in the doorway. Not watching. Considering. Ava straightens. "Good afternoon," she says. Evelyn's gaze rests on her. "You sensed me," Evelyn says. It is not accusatory. Not impressed. Observational. Ava feels heat rise into her face. "I didn't." Evelyn's mouth curves faintly. "Lying to me isn't productive." Ava swallows. "I felt something," she admits. Evelyn takes 1 step inside the kitchen. Then another. The distance shortens. "Describe it." The request is quiet. It does not feel optional. Ava searches for language. "Like, the room got heavier," she says. Not in a bad way. Just fuller. Dot. Evelyn studies her. "Interesting." Ava shifts her weight. She does not know what she is being evaluated for. She only knows she is. Evelyn's gaze drifts briefly to the cabinet Ava was organizing. "You enjoy alignment," Evelyn says. Ava blinks. "I like things neat." "That's not the same." Ava hesitates. "What's the difference?" "Neatness is aesthetic," Evelyn says. "Alignment is psychological." Ava's pulse ticks faster. "I didn't know there was one." Evelyn's eyes hold hers. "You're learning." The word settles into Ava's chest. Learning. Not working. Not performing. Learning. It implies a teacher. A student. A relationship that has edges Ava does not want to define. Evelyn moves past her, crossing the kitchen without comment. She opens the refrigerator, scans its contents, closes it again. Ava watches, unable to stop herself. Evelyn does not take anything. She does not explain why she checked. She simply did. Evelyn turns back toward Ava. "Walk with me," she says. Again. Not a question. Ava's throat tightens. "Yes." She stops. "Yes," she repeats slower. Evelyn turns. Ava follows. They move toward the private wing this time. The realization arrives quietly. Not as alarm. Not as excitement. As a fact. They pass the keypad. Evelyn does not enter the code. She keeps walking. Ava stops. Just for a fraction of a second. Evelyn stops too. She does not turn. "You're allowed," Evelyn says. Ava's breath catches. "How?" Evelyn glances back. "I told Marla to update your access this morning." Ava's mind scrambles. Permission. Granted without request. Given before she knew she wanted it. "Oh," Ava says. Evelyn's gaze lingers. "Does that bother you?" Ava doesn't know how to answer. Yes feels wrong. No feels dishonest. "I don't know." Evelyn nods. Another honest answer. She turns back toward the keypad. She enters the code. The door opens. Cool air spills into the hallway beyond. Evelyn steps inside. Ava hesitates. Not long, but enough to feel the weight of the choice. Then she steps through too. The door closes softly behind them. The corridor feels narrower than Ava remembers. Or perhaps she is more aware of her own body within it now. They walk in silence. The carpet absorbs their footsteps. They stop outside a door Ava has not seen before. Evelyn opens it. Inside is a bedroom. Not ostentatious. Not dramatic. Large. Restrained. Dark linens. Minimal decor. A single chair near the window. A low bench at the foot of the bed. Nothing personal visible. No photographs. No clutter. It feels private in a way that is intentional, not intimate. Evelyn steps inside. Ava follows. She does not know what she is supposed to do. She stands near the door. Evelyn moves toward the bed, adjusts a pillow that does not need adjusting. Then she turns. "Sit," she says. Ava's pulse spikes. She looks at the chair. Then at the bed. Evelyn does not clarify. Ava chooses the chair. She sits. The fabric is soft. The seat low. It places her slightly below Evelyn's eye level. She notices this. Evelyn remains standing. The dynamic feels familiar now. You've been here almost 3 weeks, Evelyn says. Ava nods. Yes, you haven't asked for anything. Ava frowns slightly. I don't think I'm supposed to. Evelyn's gaze sharpens. Why? It is not a question. It is an invitation to explain. I'm here to work, Ava says. Not to take why. Evelyn studies her. Everyone takes, Evelyn says. They just call it different things. Ava doesn't respond. Evelyn steps closer. Not too close. Enough. What do you want? Evelyn asks. The question lands softly, dangerously. Eva's mind goes blank, then floods. She thinks of sleep, of money, of stability, of leaving, of staying, of Evelyn's voice, of the pressure behind her ribs. She shakes her head slightly. I don't know. Evelyn's mouth curves faintly. That's becoming a theme. Ava exhales. I've never been good at wanting things. Evelyn tilts her head. Why? Ava shrugs. It feels selfish. Evelyn studies her. Does it? Ava's fingers curl in her lap. I was taught to be useful. Evelyn's gaze holds hers. Useful to whom? Ava opens her mouth. Closes it. She doesn't know. She has never asked. The silence stretches. It does not advance anything. It deepens everything. Evelyn steps closer. Now the distance is undeniably smaller. Ava becomes aware of scent again. Cool. Clean. Warm underneath. Evelyn stops in front of her. Not touching. Not invading. Occupying her space in a way that feels deliberate. Being useful, Evelyn says quietly, is not the same as being valued. Ava's throat tightens. I know, she says. It might be a lie. Evelyn's gaze drops briefly to Ava's hands. They're tense. Ava hadn't noticed. She tries to relax them. The attempt is obvious. Evelyn watches the attempt. Don't perform relaxation, Evelyn says. Just notice the tension. Ava stills. She notices. Her fingers ache slightly from being curled too long. Her wrists feel tight. Her shoulders are raised. She lowers them. Slowly. The movement feels intimate. Not because it is sexual. Because it is observed. Evelyn's voice is low. Good. The word lands in Ava's chest. Again. That feeling of being placed. Evelyn straightens. Creates a little distance. The room breathes again. You don't need to want yet, Evelyn says. You only need to become aware. Aware of what? Ava wants to ask. She doesn't. Some questions feel like opening doors that can't be closed. Evelyn turns toward the door. Ava's heart drops unexpectedly. The moment feels unfinished. Evelyn reaches the door. She pauses. Without turning, she says, You don't belong to me. Ava's breath catches. Evelyn continues. You don't belong to anyone here. Ava doesn't know why the words make her feel unsettled. Not relieved. Not comforted. Unsettled. Evelyn turns slightly. But, she adds, you are here. The word is quiet. Loaded. Evelyn opens the door. Ava stands. Her legs feel faintly unsteady. She walks past Evelyn. The space between their bodies is narrow. Not touching. Close enough to feel warmth. Close enough to feel possibility. Ava exits the room. Evelyn closes the door softly behind her. Ava stands in the corridor. Her heart is beating too fast. Her thoughts are not linear. They circle one persistent realization. Access was granted. Not to a room. To a direction. And she doesn't know whether she is walking towards something or being slowly turned. The night Ava realizes she has started waiting is not dramatic. There is no sharp thought. No internal declaration. It arrives the way most dangerous shifts do. Quietly. She is sitting on the edge of her bed, still wearing her work clothes. The room smells faintly of detergent and the stale coffee she forgot to throw away that morning. One lamp is on. The rest of the apartment lives in shadow. Her phone is face down beside her. It hasn't vibrated. It hasn't lit up. She is not expecting a message. And yet, her eyes keep drifting to it. Not deliberately. Not consciously. Between breaths. Between nothing. She notices the pattern only after it has already repeated itself several times. Waiting. For what? Not a call. Not a text. Evelyn does not contact staff after hours. That is a rule. Ava knows this, which means the waiting has nothing logical to attach itself to. That makes it harder to dismiss. She exhales slowly, stands, walks to the bathroom, washes her hands even though they are not dirty. Warm water. Steady stream. She lets it run longer than necessary. The sensation grounds her. A little. She looks at herself in the mirror. Not with judgment. Not with affection. As if searching for visible proof of something she cannot name. Nothing looks different. Which feels like a lie. She turns off the light. Returns to the bed. Sits again. Her phone remains face down. She does not flip it. The waiting remains. The next day, Evelyn does not appear. Not in the morning. Not late morning. Not early afternoon. Ava tells herself this is normal. Evelyn disappears often. Sometimes for hours. Sometimes for entire days. Nothing about this is new. Except the way Ava experiences it. The house sounds slightly wrong. Not louder. Not quieter. Off. Like a song played at the wrong speed. She moves through her tasks carefully. Not slowly. Not quickly. Carefully. As if care itself might summon something. She finishes a reset in the library and remains there longer than necessary. She sits in the chair near the window. Just for a minute. The city is pale and distant. She tells herself she will stand when she finishes one full breath. In. Out. She does not move. Second breath. Still. Third. Her phone buzzes in her pocket. The sound is soft. It still makes her flinch. She checks it. Marla. Evelyn will be back this evening. Make sure the main floor and private wing are reset. Ava stares at the message. Her chest feels warm. Annoyed at herself, she types, "Understood." Evelyn returns just after dusk. Ava does not hear the door. She feels it. That familiar pressure behind her ribs. Low. Persistent. She is in the hallway near the private wing, carrying folded linens. She stops walking. Not because she decides to. Her body does it first. She exhales once. Then looks up. Evelyn stands at the far end of the corridor. Not close. Not distant. Watching. Eva's instinct is to straighten. She doesn't. She stays exactly as she is. Holding the linens. Breathing. Evelyn begins walking toward her. Unhurried. Measured. They stop several feet apart. Evelyn's gaze moves over Ava. Not inspection. Reacquaintance. "You stayed late," Evelyn says. "I wanted to finish the resets." Evelyn studies her. "Did you?" Not about completion. About motive. "Yes." The silence stretches. "You're quiet tonight," Evelyn says. "I usually am. Not like this." Ava doesn't ask what that means. Evelyn gestures toward the private wing. "Come with me." The words land heavier than before. "Yes," Ava says. She doesn't repeat it. Evelyn turns. Ava follows. The keypad glows. Code entered. Door opens. Cool air spills into the corridor. They walk in silence. They stop outside the bedroom. Ava has already seen once. Evelyn opens the door. Low light. Dark linens. Stillness. They step inside. The door closes softly behind them. Evelyn does not tell Ava to sit. Ava does not sit. They stand a few feet apart. "You've been thinking," Evelyn says. Ava swallows. "Yes, about me." The truth comes before fear can stop it. Yes. It hangs there. Unprotected. Evelyn does not look away. Why? Ava searches for something safe. She does not find it. "Because you look at me like I exist," Ava says. "Not useful. Not agreeable. Not invisible. Like I'm real." Evelyn's voice is quiet. "You are real, I know. But it feels different when you're the one seeing me." The room feels smaller. Evelyn takes one step closer. Then another. Not enough to touch. Enough to feel warmth. I don't offer illusions, Evelyn says. I don't promise safety. I don't promise permanence. I'm not asking for promises. What are you asking for? Ava's breath stutters. I want to stay. Not in the house. Not in the job. Here. With her. Evelyn doesn't move. But Ava feels it anyway. The slightest shift in the space between them. A breath that isn't quite hers. Evelyn's hand lifts. Slowly. It rises toward Ava's face. It stops inches away. Not touching. Not yet. Ava doesn't lean in. She doesn't pull back. The air between skin and skin feels charged. Almost unbearable. Then, a brush. Barely there. The lightest contact along Ava's jaw. Not a caress. Not possession. A test. Ava inhales sharply. Evelyn feels it. Evelyn's fingers lower. They come to rest over Ava's wrist. Just above the pulse. Light. Light. Intentional. This doesn't make you mine, Evelyn says. I know. It doesn't make me yours, I know. Evelyn searches Ava's face. Then what does it make us? Ava doesn't answer. She doesn't have language. Evelyn slowly withdraws her hand. The absence feels louder than the touch. They remain standing. Close. Breathing. Nothing else happens. No kiss. No embrace. No escalation. Just presence. After a long moment, Evelyn steps back. You can go, she says. Boundary dight. Not dismissal. Ava nods. Yes. She turns. Walks to the door. Hand on the handle. Cool metal. She pauses. Not to speak. Not to ask. Just to exist inside the moment 1 second longer. Then she opens the door. Steps out. Closes it softly. The corridor feels charged. Not solved. Not settled. Acknowledged. Some connections are not built. They are recognized. What does it mean to choose something that may never be safe? Some stories don't end when the moment fades. They stay with us, asking to be felt. If this story awakens something you recognize, you're welcome to share your truth in the comments. And if this journey stayed with you, consider subscribing to Secret Garden Stories and sharing it with someone who might feel seen. Your support helps the space grow. A world with more love, more honesty, and less silence. Thank you for being here.